Will argue that we have lost control over technology, and the negative will argue against that. So we will get started. The debate will last for 1 hour, and there will be scored according to argumentation, organization, and delivery. So let's get started.
Assalamualaikum. I am Gala and here first affirmative constructive. Resolution result. Modern technology is controlling our lives. To begin, I'll define two key terms, control and modern technology. We define control as the power to influence our behavior, and modern technology as modern products, services, and infrastructure that are designed and built using scientific knowledge. To begin with my first argument, AI such as ChatGPT has been on the rise, with students using it to complete their assignments. The Stanford Daily conducted a survey in which they found that 17% of Stanford students reported using ChatGPT on their fall quarter assignments and exams. AI such as ChatGPT is influencing students to think less for themselves and is also encouraging them to cheat on their assignments. For my next argument, kids like us are now spending more time in front of our screens. The CDC said, the CDC Center for Disease Control and Prevention said kids ages 8 through 18 on average spend 7.5 hours in front of a screen for entertainment daily. We are influenced to go online for our entertainment, and as our schools are beginning to transfer resources online, we are having to go to our computers to complete our assignments, which is causing us to stare for prolonged periods of time into these screens, making us more inactive. Then, to add on to my previous argument, an abstract written by Dr. Gadi discussing health effects of prolonged screen time. He said that, quote, excessive screen time is associated with poor sleep and cardiovascular disease. Technology such as our phones and laptops are affecting us mentally and physically. We're influenced to return to our devices for our own entertainment, causing us health issues. I will now be handing things over to my partner. But to conclude, AI and devices such as our phones and laptops and computers are influencing or affecting us in a negative way. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Mustafa Muhammad, and I am the first affirmative speaker. Continuing on what Partner Abdul Qadir said, I'll be speaking on 3 main points. I'll be speaking on AI technology, deepfake technology, and data collection. My first contention is that AI technology has mostly hurt American workers. According to the Pew Research Center, 40% of U.S. adults believe that job automation to new technology has mostly hurt American workers. As AI technology continues to improve and become more capable of doing more and more tasks, more Americans will become displaced from the workforce, increasing the unemployment rate. Because of this, there will be a big problem. My next argument is that deepfake technology is controlling the way that we view the integrity of video and audio. Deepfake technology is a digitally altered video that makes someone look like someone else. According to the Wall Street Journal, in 2018, there were less than 10,000 deepfakes detected online. Nowadays, this number is more in the millions. Deepfake technology can be used maliciously to make it look like someone is doing something, or to make it look like they are saying something. This technology is becoming more and more available and is only continuing to improve and can be used for a lot of harmful purposes. My last argument is that data collection will be used. Harmful data collection is very unregulated. According to the New York Times, a vast majority of products that we use every day isn't regulated. This means that federally, there aren't a lot of laws controlling exactly what can be collected from the user's data. The average consumer is not aware of what is being collected from them, so this data collection can be used to create big profiles on them, and can be even used to target them in ads politically to control what they view, control what they see, what they think, and what they hear. Data collection controls this because a lot of consumers aren't exactly aware of what they are being shown and what exactly is being collected from them. So to conclude my argument, AI technology, deepfakes, and data collection are means of control. Thank you.
So 2 minutes to deliberate. First of all. Next speaker.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Yassine. I'm the first negative cross-examiner. Firstly, I'd like to start with, anything can be used to influence us negatively. You talk about screens and AI tools like deepfakes and their health effects. But do you choose to use it? It didn't choose you. How is this controlled? And I'd like to ask another question. Do you agree that technology is not an autonomous force and cannot dictate our lives? While technology is powerful, it is created and controlled by humans. We have the power to set healthy boundaries, prioritize our well-being, and make conscious decisions about how we engage with technology. Do you agree that the responsible use of technology is within our control? We are able to turn off notifications, set screen time limit, and prioritize face-to-face interactions over digital ones. Also, would it be fair to argue that the belief in technology controlling our lives stems from more personal perceptions and interpretation rather than concrete evidence of autonomous influence? While many individuals may believe that technology is controlling their lives from their own experiences, such as feeling overwhelmed by constant notifications or experiencing addictive behavior on certain digital platforms. But these personal perceptions and interpretations heavily influence their belief in technology's control. Also, additionally, is it reasonable to argue that the notion of technology controlling our lives may arise from a fear of change or an aversion to embracing new forms of innovation and progress? Also, can we question whether the concept of technology controlling our lives overlooks the fact that we are still able to have independent thought, decision-making, and personal agency in our interactions with technology? Technology is still all around us and has an impact on our lives, but we still have the power to choose how we use it. We are in control of our own choices and actions. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nisa Hussain. We are the first negative constructive. I'll speak first and my partner will follow. To start off, control focuses solely on the idea of grasping the mind and infatuating it in a way that is blinding. In essence, the concept of control is being blinded. Whether it's through social media, artificial intelligence, or the things that surround us, control comes in the yearning to reach our hand out for it daily. When we reach our hand out, there's that brief moment where we get to make that decision. And when the decision isn't immediately apparent, that pause allows us to think about what it means to use that device for that day. You're fully aware of your decision and are ready for its effects for the day. To continue, all technology is a tool. It is there to enhance our daily lives rather than become a necessity. Although it is now fabricated through social displays, technology is still not applied to the point of control. Instead, it's become social pressure to utilize it due to everyone that indulges that is around us. Furthermore, the anxiety that technology promotes is nothing new. In the 19th century, varieties felt helpless as the new industrial revolution was about, and myths were being spread to explain what it meant for humans to be departing from nature. Although it is nothing new to us to feel this way, technology is on the brink of something new and dramatic, which we fear. And the fear is due to our lack of awareness. And as consumers of technology and engineers, we need to be more proactive. Proactive in the sense of understanding what it means to utilize these devices, but not stop them. In conclusion, all in all, We aren't blind sheep made to follow a light. Rather, we're given this option to indulge in something that will accelerate our daily lives. Technology improves our daily lives, it makes it better, but we have the decision ultimately to decide whether to utilize it for the day or not. Thank you. Assalamualaikum. My name is Amir and I will continue. American computer scientist and futurist Ray Kurzweil theorizes that technological advancements like artificial intelligence grow exponentially and thus lead to a new level of superintelligence. Known as the law of accelerating returns, it introduced the idea of technological singularity, a point in the future where technology becomes uncontrollable and unpredictable, where even tomorrow's tech scene cannot even be predicted. Now remember, theorized. However, from the beginning of these modern technologies, humans have enabled them to thrive by offloading their own ideas and thoughts onto them. And they will continue to do so because these machines cannot advance without such biological aspects like human cognition and human consciousness. Every single piece of technology is an extension of the mind, and as cognitive professors Andy Clark and David Chalmers explained in their famous extended mind thesis, the mind exists in a feedback loop between the brain, the tools, such as the technology tools, and the environment. Our thoughts will forever shape our spaces and creations, and thus forcing us to stay in control. Another example is Daniel Castro, Vice President and Director of the Center for Data Innovation. And he asks, when you wake up to an alarm clock, is this a machine in control of a human or a human in control of a machine? Now Castro makes it very clear that the human is in control because they set it to accommodate their needs. Now yes, the alarm clock woke you up, but you told it to do so. Thus, you're still in control. All humans today use modern technology to program it to accommodate their specific tasks, and they create it with the ability to turn it on and off. An alarm clock can be a metaphor for any distraction in this life, specifically distractions that cannot be controlled, such as sounds and noises. Let's say you live by a train, and the train happens to wake you up at night. The train doesn't control you. The same way here, the alarm clock is not in control. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Raj Haq, and I'm the first affirmative cross-examination. This is my partner, Rifit. Alright, so modern technology is controlling our daily lives, and that is an irrefutable fact. For example, your team made the argument that about how if we can control our interaction with technology, such as we choose what we do with it, but it's a commonly known fact nowadays that modern technology is a dopamine stimulant. For example, endocrinologist Robert Lustig said that technology is a dopamine stimulant, and anything that stimulates dopamine, such as that, at the endpoint is addiction. So how can we deal with the fact that technology is causing addiction and we can't really force ourselves to go away from it? See, people, it's like a drug, People who are on drugs, they go into rehab, they take a lot of time to just, it takes a lot of time to get unaddicted, I guess. Another argument is technological singularity, which argues that at some point technology will become uncontrollable in the future. And so can we predict the future path of technology with certainty, considering factors that can impact its advancements, factors that we don't know about yet? Another thing was about the alarms and the trains. This isn't necessarily modern technology, and are there any other things such as like AI that we can use to argue about?
Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. That's my article. My name is Rifit, and to continue off what my partner said, AI has become advanced and has integrated into our daily lives, from assistance of like Siri to Alexa to self-driving cars like Teslas. Tech provides us with convenience, but does that not cost our autonomy? Isn't it the least bit concerning that we rely on technology without being able to function without it? My question to the negative side is, how can we assure that we maintain control of our lives while being so dependent on technology? Tech has improved our communication. I'll give that to my partners. But are the relationships deeper? Now, my question again, can you provide evidence that shows that technology has enhanced the quality of relationships, not just the quantity of our relationships? How can we strike a balance between the benefits and potential drawbacks that technology has? I have to conclude, AI and tech are not passive tools, but tools that influence us, and that are the way we think and the way we form deeper connections. Thank you.
Yeah, just a little further from your mouth. It might help with the sound.
Oh, they're cooking right now,
We should get together.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Neha Mohammed and I am the second affirmative constructive speaker along with my partner Selma. Today I'll be focusing my arguments on the effects of artificial intelligence on society. So my first argument that I'll be discussing today is the risks of self-driving cars. Now, even basic tasks like driving are beginning to be dominated by the AI industry. According to The Guardian, a 2021 Tesla Model S was in full self-driving mode when the technology malfunctioned, causing an 8-vehicle crash. With companies rushing to create these cars yearly without taking the safety precautions necessary, imagine how many lives would be jeopardized due to these safety failures. This is a significant threat to society because if these products aren't made safely and correctly, how can people trust that self-driving cars will ever be safe? Now, the next argument I'll be discussing is the fact of AI replacing jobs. With the rise of artificial intelligence, many people are concerned about losing their jobs. According to the Future of Jobs reports, the World Economic Forum estimated that AI will replace around 85 million jobs by 2025. Now, that is only 2 years from now. Just imagine all the students working to attain a degree for years that will end up being useless. As someone who hopes to pursue my career in computer science one day, I can tell you that I am afraid to go into that field solely because of the speculation of AI eventually taking over it. We need to realize that people need jobs to provide for themselves and their families. And with the speculation of AI taking over that, it will cause many issues. Now, the last argument I'll be discussing is the mental toll deepfakes have on people. According to American University, deepfakes inflict psychological harm on the victim, reducing employability and affecting relationships. Mentally, victims are left with trauma, paranoia, anxiety, and countless other forms of psychological damage that they will continue to live with for the rest of their lives. To conclude, I would just like to end off with the fact that technology is taking over the lives of humanity, and as humans, we must fulfill our role to maintain control over what we have created. Thank you. I'll now pass it on.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Salma. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Salma. And to continue off the points that my partner Niham has made, I would like to continue on why technology, as it grows a bigger role in society, has a big risk to humanity. This point of singularity, technological singularity, has now been mentioned quite a few times, and it essentially is that these technologies will grow exponentially, becoming more intelligent to a point where it will cause to surpass human intelligence, to a point where it can create its own technologies, dooming humanity. Because, and even if this point wasn't to come, there is also the alignment problem. This is a major problem in the AI space because it is, as experts are trying to align AI systems with humans' goals and values, the problem that remains is that the AI sort of works like a black box, and there are these inputs and outputs, and there's not very much transparency on what is going on in between. You know, there isn't really much understanding, and you know, even with this problem is that, you know, we don't really understand. There's not a lot of understanding of what's going there, and furthermore, there's this letter even now that has come out where people like Elon Musk and other experts are signing to halt the advancements of ChatGPT and other AI systems stronger than that for the next 6 months. And this really demonstrates the power and the fear that this can cause with people. And even so, people like Eliezer Yudkowsky, who is a major person who is an expert in this field, who's been working on this for the last 20 years or so, has to refrain from signing this letter as he believes it underscores the problem and offers little to solve it. Some of his arguments with this is that these scientists are thinking about using these systems, these AI systems, to try to solve the alignment problem. And to protect it against weak to stronger systems, use weaker AI systems to protect against stronger systems. And this is a major problem because no one has solved a problem about the people or the group that is creating it. And secondly, science like this takes experimentation. It takes time to develop. And the problem with it is that there is major risk if we don't get it on the first critical try. And to conclude with a quote from Eliezer, by far the grandest danger of artificial intelligence is that people concluded too early that they understood it. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad, and I'm the second negative cross-examiner of the second constructed. Firstly, the notion that technology controls us is erroneous. Firstly, the notion that technology controls us is erroneous. Who sets the rules and regulations that govern the use and impacts of technology if not us humans? We humans control technology. We control it by limiting our use of it. Irresistible, book by Adam Alter in 2017 suggests that explores the addictive nature of technology and suggests that by becoming more aware of these tactics, we can regain control over our usage. Then by this logic, doesn't it mean that humans are able to regulate usage of technology? Secondly, isn't it more deeply rooted in our struggle to control our desires rather than technology itself, which leads to excessive use and over-dependence on technology? Over-dependence on technology. Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport is a book published in 2019. It promotes the idea of digital minimalism and suggests that we control it by minimalizing our usage of technology. It offers a practical framework for those who feel that technology has overwhelmed them. earlier, your team stated that modern technology includes modern product series and infrastructures that trains alarms clocks, which are included. So why exclude them? We're talking about modern AI. We're talking about modern tech, not only AI. You also mentioned that tech is a dopamine stimulant, but isn't everything we include indulge in a form of dopamine stimulant? We could get addiction to anything, even reading books. Also, why are we talking about safety and harmful effects of technology rather than our control of it? Thank you.
My name is Dr. Pablo Says. My partner and I are the second negative constructive speakers. First, it is important to recognize that technology is designed and developed by humans. Systems, methods, and frameworks are meticulously developed by engineers, scientists, and programmers. They establish guidelines and limitations, molding technology in accordance with human aspirations and goals. Their knowledge and creativity enable technology to be shaped to meet our intentions. Second, oversight and monitoring are an important factor of control. We actively monitor its operation, performance, and results to make sure it continues to be in line with our desired goals. We can quickly identify mistakes, deviations, or unwanted behavior, allowing us to take corrective action. Our oversight is what keeps technology within its bounds and from behaving inappropriately. Furthermore, governance and regulation are crucial in controlling technology. Its deployment, development, and use are regulated through laws, policies, and rules established by regulatory agencies and governments. For example, the HIPAA and the GLBA are federal laws that protect medical records and financial records, respectively. The opposing team said that data collection is an essential aspect that technology has control over us. However, with these laws in place, we remain one step ahead of technology. In conclusion, the arguments given in support of the resolution overlook the crucial role that humans play in shaping technology. We develop, oversee, control, and infuse our moral principles into technology. And I'll let my partner continue.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Farooq. I'll continue. So despite the fact that technology has become an important part of our lives, it is important that we realize that we still have control over technology. Now, one way that humans control technology is through direct interaction. This applies to physically interacting with a device or a machine to operate it, such as using a keyboard or a mouse or a touchscreen to navigate through a computer or a mobile device. This also shows how we control programming, which involves writing code or software development tools to make the AI perform specific tasks. Now, according to a recent book review called Future Proof, James Fallows of the New York Times states, regulators, not robots, decide what limits to place on emerging technologies like facial recognition and targeted digital advertising. Now, this quote emphasizes the role of human regulators in determining the restrictions that should be imposed on new technologies. And we need to realize the responsibilities for establishing guidelines for these technologies lies within the human decision makers, rather than the technology relying on itself. Another quote from Rich Miller, who is the CEO at Telematica and the chair at Prominent Data, states, "For the next decade, the use of AI will be not totally autonomous, but rather provide the sense to the end user that the action being taken is assisted by the AI." Now, this quote means that the AI will provide us with an illusion, thinking that it's truly thinking and running on its own. However, this illusion immediately shatters when we realize that we humans are the ones who create these technologies and AIs and allow them to complete their tasks. In conclusion, in summary, there are many ways humans control technology, whether it's from directly interacting with the device or machine or writing code. Each one of these methods require different skills and knowledge. However, they all provide users with a high degree of control over technology. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Muad and I'm the second affirmative cross-examiner. Firstly, I'd like to begin by stating one of my opponent's arguments, being that they stated, and I quote, that if we are aware, we will regain control over technology. If we're aware of the harms of technology, which is stating that we already do not have control over it, and that we need to regain control. Secondly, they are saying that why is it that we're saying modern technology is taking control over us and not books. Books are incomparable to technology and are already set in stone. Technology is always developing new codes and algorithms, making it unpredictable. So my question is, are kids getting addicted to reading books or watching videos and playing games on their iPads? Another argument that my opponent made was about the HIPAA. And my subordinate from before already talked about how it is completely irrelevant, and most of the arguments that are stated do not hold any proof. So tech has become an integral part in our daily lives, and there is growing concern that it is taking control over us. And this is furthered by tech's emotional power, and that it has become overwhelming against us. So I'd like to end by saying tech has become a heavily controlling force in our lives, impacting our sense of power, emotions, and behavior, and also control and privacy. Thank you.
Hello. Assalamualaikum, my name is Lisa Abdi, and I am the first speaker for the first negative rebuttal. For our first argument, I will be talking about how technology is neutral. Humans created technology to fulfill their chosen purpose, so it is impossible for it to control us without the drive or ambition to do so. Alex Papazoglou, a philosophy lecturer at the University of Cambridge in Royal Holloway, said that technology is what we make it, a neutral tool that can be shaped by intentions of the user. As long as we create and program technology, it is impossible for it to have any control over us. Modern technology has become a mainstream part of our daily lives. And for my second argument, I'll be explaining how people are unsettled by the fact that technology has become so close to us. For the last 50 years, technology knew its place. We all spent time with technology. We drove to work, flew on airplanes, used telephones and computers, and cooked on microwaves. But even 5 years ago, technology seemed external, a servant. These days, what's so striking is not only technology's equability, but also its intimacy. People are afraid of technology, and people are overwhelmed that technology will, in the future, control us, but that is not the case. It provides us with information, communication, and security. It has no control over our lives, our choices, and is merely a tool used to benefit us and provide us with a more comfortable and practical lifestyle. To conclude, just because it is becoming a mainstream part of our lives does not mean that we have any reason to fear as it continues to grow.
Clear my throat a couple of times. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sola Bahmoon. Continue off from my partner Bakisa said. Technology is a key factor in our lives and influences our everyday experiences in many ways. One example is the alarm clock. Almost everyone uses an alarm clock, whether it's digital, manual, or their phone. That's somewhere they need to go. But how do we control the alarm clock? We control the alarm clock because we program it to do what we need it to do, to wake us up at the required time. So, how can the affirmative state? Technology controls our lives when we control it every day on a daily basis. Modern technology has created a functioning society, one where there is order, students control technology, and their name is balance. Near James Ford said, we are still in control of how technology control our lives and society, and even well-being. It states that we are in control of technology and that we do whatever we want. Furthermore, it also talks about how technology has influenced our lives and that we do whatever we want. So how can the affirmative state that we are not that we are in control of technology when due to technology being in our control, we transform it to whatever we want, yet to be benefits as a community. Overall, the way humans control technology, modern technology, is by not only building, designing, and programming the technology, it is by not being reliant on technology, by not being influenced by technology, and by humans working together to overcome problems. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Abdullah and I'm the first affirmative rebuttal speaker. To begin, technology has significantly advanced and is leaving a stamp of destruction on our society. With my first argument, technology has taken over several vocations, many jobs in manufacturing industries, and robots can now perform human labor such as welding, painting, and even assembly. Currently, 30% of tasks are being done by robots, but it is projected in the year of 2025 that 50% of jobs will be done by robots and 50% by human labor. I have a quote from Sam Altman, the creator of AI, and he stated this in front of the Congress. We understand people are anxious about it. It can change the way we live. If it goes wrong, it can go wrong. So the creator of AI is literally implying that the danger of AI is huge, and it could really leave a stamp of destruction on our society. These people don't really know the technology and the danger that's coming with it. So, with the points I have stated, you can really see the impact that these technologies have on our society. Thank you.
My name is Ahmad Faidi. I'll be summarizing what we have said about AI singularity, unknown risks, and widespread data collection. Firstly, it is stated by the UNESCO on April 21st, 2023, that AI decisions are not always intelligible to humans. This proves that AI operates in a manner that lacks transparency, making it hard for humans to understand or relate to their decisions. Additionally, unknown risks play a huge factor in our future. On March 25th, 2021, Andrew Ng, co-founder of Coursera, states, AI technology allows machines to perform tasks at a level that is superior to a human. This clarifies that AI will cause a major job displacement in the near future. Finally, Betsy Che stated on The Guardian, an app told you only took 100 steps today. The app for running shoes will arrive tomorrow. This quote suggests that the app's tracking analysis of our behavior allows it to manipulate our actions by presenting targeted ads indicating the level of control exerted by AI/technology over decisions and preference. This shows that big companies use AI in order to control and manipulate humans by by tracking their daily steps. In conclusion, we need to get a grasp on this because technology has the ability to control us more than we control it. Thank you.
And I am the first of two speakers for the second negative rebuttal. Through our research, we found that technology really, in fact, does not control us. When you consider the technology used by the millions of people around the world and what limits are set on how much technology is available, you can determine that we regulate how much technology is dispersed to the people, proving that we have control over technology. Tech can only be as good as we make it. We control the limits, we control how far the technology can control itself. I want you to imagine a toy car. In that toy car you can throw in a battery, but the battery can only run for so long, right? Technology is the same way. Those limits allow the technology to only go to a certain extent. Without a user, that technology will not without a user, that technology will only reach the limit that it was set to. In order to impose these limits and parameters, we need to first understand it. Our opponents mentioned that we are fearful of technology taking over. The only reason that anyone is fearful of something taking over or controlling us is because we don't have an understanding. Fear is lack of understanding in itself. I'll now hand it over to my partner, Sumail, and thank you.
Is everyone ready? Assalamu alaikum, my name is Sumail. Johnson, and I will give the second negative rebuttal. To continue on what my partner has stated, first, it's worth noting that we have the power to choose how much technology affects our daily lives. While technology has become increasingly pervasive, we have the power to choose how we use it. We can set limits on, exactly as my teammates have stated, screen time, limits on, and to prioritize face-to-face interactions, and choose what notifications to unplug from when we need to focus. Secondly, people have different levels of reliance on technology and different levels of comfort with it. Some may lean heavily on technology, while others prefer to limit its use. Ultimately, the choice is ours, and we can prioritize a healthy balance between our digital and non-digital lives. One real-life example of someone who has taken control of their relationship with technology is none other than author and computer scientist Cal Newport. Newport has become well known for his work on digital minimalism, which is the mindful approach to technology use. He advocates for a mindful he encourages individuals to evaluate their relationship with technology and identify key areas where they need to reduce their reliance on it. Newport has resonated with many people who have this overwhelming feeling from the constant demands of modern technology. In his book, Digital Minimalism, Choosing a Focused Life in a Noisy World, one main key takeaway would be the digital declutter, a practice for defining boundaries around technology use. For example, you could take a 30-day break and then slowly reintroduce technology to yourself without obviously taking away from your life. To conclude, modern technology, which includes things like the internet, cars, trains, and AI, may have a significant impact on our lives, but it doesn't control us. Thank you.
Are the judges ready? Assalamu alaikum. My name is Aisha Mustafich, and I'm the second affirmative rebuttal along with my partner Sumaya. Today, I will be concluding this debate with the argument that technology has reached a point where we cannot trust it anymore. Rachel Holmes for The Guardian says that companies gather data to maximize profits for consumer habits. Everything that we do, everything that we search, everything that we purchase online can be traced back to the exact second that we purchased it. How is it possible that we are trusting these search engines and companies if everything is being traced? My second argument is that Junior Henry Rowe for the Campanile says that expectations and impressions are so big on social media that we are ungrateful for what we have and are spiraling. Social media is designed in a way that everything that we see and everything that we do has already gone through an editing filter and an app. We can't even trust our own feed, so how can we trust the companies that created these social medias? My final argument is that my opponents keep mentioning an alarm clock, but how is an alarm clock comparable to modern technology and AI, which includes asking an AI such as ChatGPT to write your own essay for you? That is incomparable. I would like to conclude with the point that trusting technology will ultimately lead to our demise, with the final point that even shopping online or even going on social media will end up leading to our demise. Thank you.
Hi. My name is Samaya, and I'll be clear on what my partner said so far. To begin with, I want to talk about how others may think that technology helps us to stay connected with others and to sustain this relationship for a long period of time. And studies have shown actually that it does the opposite to this relationship. It makes a person to be reliant on this technology so we can keep this relationship and carry on with it. But it just makes us being unable to socialize more and to go out and create more new relationships. Another argument that I like to make is that John Tudor once said that technology makes it possible for people to control everything except technology itself. This teaches us that technology evolves and becomes integrated into everyday life, function independently, as it leaves limited room for human in control with capacity to do it themselves. I like to further this claim by talking about how the Ohio Northern University talked about how the dangers of fake news and how the dangers of fake news itself. It shows us how technology shows us our preferences, our shares and likes, and would show us things that we would like to see itself. This makes us more prone to see these fake news and is a danger to society itself. I like to conclude and talk about how technology has become an integral part of our society. They become so reliant to it that students are not being able to do their own assignments. This begs the question whether we will confront the problem of technology taking over our life now or wait until it's over, until it's too late. Thank you.
You guys, please sit down. We have 2 more minutes. Oh, sorry. Silently, but they were not so silent, so
all that matters now is that someone got and everyone's cover control.
Everyone, so this concludes the debate, and we just want to thank the judges for their time and their thoughtful feedback, for the debaters who will take this feedback seriously and this will help them to debate even better next time when you have the opportunity. And thank the debaters for all of their hard work this term. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Teacher Olvera, for organizing this. And you'll hear the feedback and the scores a little bit later on this week. So thank you. That's all I
You got this. Bob, you want to talk about it? Like, not always.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I don't know if there's an open look on there.
What did you think? I hope so. May I ask you what you thought?
Overall, it was very good.
It's not a topic I know much about.
Do what? Yeah, I would say that one degree or another. And when they're practicing, yeah, they're much more nuanced. They don't have a sense of urgency. They're with each other. It's much more informal. Actually, they're very relieved. Yes.
I know it's scary when you first went up.
Yeah.
It was also a little bit of
I'm sorry, I didn't email you. It's like another feeling that really feeling you fly.
One of those things that was like, kept putting off or something. But I kept thinking.
Yeah.
Critiquing.
There's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah.
And if you want to
definitely in terms of presentation,
said
there were a lot of sixes.
You participated. It's
So more than others that you had more chances.
That's a good way. Hey, should I call everyone?
Let's wait until more people come back.
Okay.
Yeah. But thank you. He's always very efficient.
Which is really difficult for
I only talked to him once for the fundraiser. He was almost playing exactly. Yeah.
Also, I will ask.
Is it time?
Baby powder.
Assalamualaikum everyone. Welcome to the 9th and 10th grade debate. Today, the 9th and 10th graders will be debating that climate change is irreversible. And the affirmatives will debate that, and the negative will debate the opposite. 1 hour, 2 minutes in between speakers. And thank you, judges, for being here, and the audience, and the debaters. So we'll get started now.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Rahim, and we are the first affirmative constructive speakers on the affirmative side. Resolved. Climate change is irreversible. There are two key terms to be defined. Climate change. A long-term change to the Earth's climate system, primarily driven by the increase in greenhouse gases in the Earth's atmosphere. Irreversible. Something cannot be undone, reversed, or returned to the original state. Therefore, its changes may be permanent and may persist indefinitely. My first argument is about the global warming within the Earth's atmosphere. The IPCC Special Report on Global Warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius, published in 2018, found that even if we completely halt greenhouse gas emissions today, the global warming temperature will still increase by 0.5 degrees Celsius due to thermal inertia in the oceans and other factors. Dr. Rohendra Pachauri, former chairman of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC, continues the argument by saying, and I quote, "The impacts of climate change are already being felt in communities around the world. Even if we completely halt greenhouse gas emissions today, we will still be locked to warming that's already happening. The impacts of climate change, such as severe and frequent weather patterns such as droughts, floods, and heat waves, are already being felt by communities around the world. Even if we took stock emitting greenhouse gases in the Earth's atmosphere today, we will still be dealing with the impacts of climate change for generations to come." My second conviction is about another problem that is causing climate change, which is carbon dioxide. It is a major and primary contributor to climate change, as it stays in the atmosphere for centuries. This is a concerning reality that we must face. NASA's Climate Association says, and I quote, the carbon dioxide that we have already emitted into the atmosphere will continue to warm the planet for centuries to come, even if we stop emitting carbon dioxide today. Before the Industrial Revolution, in the mid-18th century, the global atmospheric CO2 concentration levels were around 280 parts per million, or ppm. This means for every million air molecules, there are 280 molecules of carbon dioxide. As of the latest data in 2021, the global atmospheric CO2 concentration levels have surpassed 415 parts per million, marking a significant increase since pre-industrial levels. Over the past 6 decades, the annual growth rate of CO2 concentration has increased greatly, and marks a significant increase in pre-industrial levels. My partner will continue arguing on why climate change is irreversible. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Ayyub Mohammed, and as my partner said, climate change is an urgent and pressing matter that we need to discuss. They said that many of today's world has many boundaries of which the rising temperature disrupts the ecological balances, leading to mass extinctions. Dr. Gene Betsby, a scientist from the USDA, states that the EPA, Economical Principle Accommodation, says that the greenhouse gas emissions of CO2 causes many of today's atmospheres to become, and so it says the U.S. food loss, and where it says the U.S. food loss and waste is equivalent to 172 million metric tons of carbon dioxide, which is equivalent to 42 coal-fired power plants. And to put this into perspective, the EPA draws a comparison to the annual CO2 emissions and carbon emissions from burning coal to carbon dioxide. One of them I'd like to make is about the coral reef and how many of the species that rely on coral reef need to rely on that. And so, by this topic, it says the coral reef is dying, and that we need to take further precautions of it. And if it dies again, it will not come back. And they stated that the rising temperature of the biodiversity not only threatens the survival of numerous species, but it also disrupts the way of life that sustains from these coral reefs. In conclusion, the impacts of our climate change only causes being felt, and we are running out of time. And so that we are now to regain our conscious of greenhouse gases emissions, and failure to do so will cause compatible companions to the future of our society. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Nabila Khan and I am the first negative cross-examiner of the first affirmative speaker, and today I will be asking questions. It's not climate change that needs to be tackled, it's the political power of the fossil fuel industry. So I noticed that my opponent mentioned that coral reefs are dying. However, as humans, don't you think that we should take the initiative to fix and repair these coral reefs? If they're dying, we should come up with a solution to fix them. And if we do, that's a possible way to reverse climate change. Which leads me to my next argument. Releases of greenhouse gas emissions are a huge contributor to climate change. Greenhouse gas emissions are the gathering of fuel, coal, and oil. With this huge contributor to climate change, don't you agree that if we can find methods to reduce and reverse these greenhouse gas emissions, we can potentially reverse climate change? Furthermore, another method that is efficient and can potentially reverse climate change is renewable energy. Renewable energy, by definition, is energy derived from natural resources. If we can use this method to reverse climate change, don't you think it's an effective way and it's good for us to try? If we have methods such as renewable energy, what's the fear in trying and using these methods to reverse climate change? Thank you. I will hand it on to my partner.
You guys ready? Okay. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Abida Ibrahim, and I will be continuing to ask questions and continue. So my opponent has mentioned that carbon emissions are causing climate change, but there are so many different ways that we can reduce this, and according to an article by the Brookings Institute, there are countries that use different methods, like that use technology that use carbon emission. Okay, so there are technology for reducing carbon emissions by using buildings. Another thing is that there are so many different countries. For example, Costa Rica, they have been proven to use renewable energy in order to make their environment healthier. And according to trade.gov, Costa Rica has used 99.78% of their energy by getting it from renewable energy. So if a third world country, which is technically considered a country that's not as fortunate, but they're really thriving, why can't we use these methods like renewable energy in order to in order to reduce climate change? Thank you.
Speakers, just remember to adjust your microphone so that we can hear you on one hand, but on the other hand, it's not too close to your mouth.
Just testing, see if you guys can hear me properly. Assalamualaikum, my name is Gurvanpur, and I'm the first negative constructive speaker. On behalf of the negative standpoint, I would first like to firmly assert that the resolution that climate change is irreversible is a hasty and misguided claim. While it is undeniable that climate change is a pressing issue that demands our attention, there is no substantial evidence to support the fact that the damage is done, that we are not hopeless to stop it. This is arguably a doomerism mentality that only benefits large corporations that seek to profit off of public disinterest in the environment. Rather, the negative side contends that climate change can be reversed, and that the reversibility of climate change lies directly in initiatives that can be accomplished by political and ideological unity. Contention number 1, reforestation mitigation. The Department of Agriculture is working to plant 2 billion trees by 2050. This has been extremely effective in removing carbon dioxide largely from the atmosphere. In a 2020 draft by NASA, Alan Bush wrote 2 billion acres of new forests could help limit the increase in global temperature to 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit by 2050. In contrast, one of the leading causes for warming is the 1.2 billion acres of forestry that have disappeared in the last 2 decades. In simpler terms, what I'm trying to say is that warming that can be caused by a lack of trees can be reversed by replanting these trees all by 2050. Contention number 2, emission counters. In 2021, Oliver Millman, an environmental reporter for The Guardian, said, scientists have now factored in the dynamism of the Earth's natural systems, whereby stopping emissions would see atmospheric carbon content go down due to the carbon absorption capacity of oceans and forests. These claims are backed by Chen Zhou, a professor of atmospheric science in a journal on emission mitigation. Picture this, a sink filling with water with the drain partially open. The water level will rise due to the drain emptying at a slower pace than the filling. But if you can manage to slow down the water filling, the water level drops, albeit slowly and steadily. If emissions in this analogy were to flow, carbon dioxide, the water, that drains the forests and the oceans, then the logical connection that can be made is that the reversal of climate change is entirely in our hands due to our control over emissions. If we brought emissions to a net zero, yes, carbon dioxide would stay in the environment for decades and decades, but reforestation would drain the sink. Before my partner expands on these points, I would like the affirmative side to realize that pessimism and realism are two different things, and that the reality behind the climate change argument is that draining the sink is more effective than a doomerism mentality.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Vlad Shiro, and as my partner was saying, the cost effectiveness of renewable energy sources like wind and solar power the cost effectiveness of wind and solar power cost effectiveness of wind and solar power make a consistent and. So for my first contention, I'd like to speak about carbon capture. Carbon capture is when a company takes the carbon emissions coming from factory processes and stores it deep underground. The CCS Technologies claims that they can potentially take carbon captures from all these industrial processes and store it deep underground. Dr. Hannah Ritchie, PhD at University of Edinburgh, claims that 40 billion tons of CO2 is emitted yearly. Less than 35 years ago, in 1990, the emission level, that number was 25 million. CCS Technologies could potentially reverse this number by 35 years, potentially reversing climate change. For my second contention, I'd like to speak about renewable energy sources like wind and solar power. Wind and solar power can, the implementation of wind and solar power the implementation of wind and solar power doesn't use carbon-based materials, meaning it can help us lead off and limit the use of carbon dioxide emissions and other greenhouse gases, and overall through the implementation of energy storage devices like batteries to store excess energy generated from these renewable energy sources, we could potentially, in times of high generation, store energy, and in times of low energy production, we can basically access that stored energy, potentially helping us lean off of climate change. Therefore, climate change is reversible. Given the right initiative.
speakers.
Highschool. My name is Saul Adam, and we are the first cross-examiner of the first negative constructed. And we'd like to question the other side about some of the arguments. The first thing I'd like to bring up is some of the irreversible aspects of climate change, such as ocean acidification and permafrost. According to Smithsonian, ocean acidification is basically the ocean acidifying 10 times faster than ever before, causing some of the animals that's leading some of the animals to extinction, which leads to less biodiversity in the ocean, which is almost impossible to recover. The second thing I'd like to bring up is permafrost thaw, and that's basically a layer of ice that covers a bunch of dangerous gas, and when this ice melts, that leads all the dangerous gas to go up to the air, and this causes a negative feedback loop, which we're too far into reverse. The max we could do is slow it down. So my first question to the negative side is, how do you define reversible in the context of climate change, and how will you find a solution for reverse when all these irreversible aspects lead to this? Also, one of my opponents stated that there's no definite proof that climate change is irreversible. When NASA states that we're already too far in to reverse all the aspects, the best we could do is curb the damage is done. The next question I have is, can you provide evidence to show that climate change is fully reversible? And by fully reversible, I mean every single aspect of climate change, such as the irreversible aspect I mentioned. Thank you. My partner will continue.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mustafa, as my partner mentioned. So my first argument is about the increased drought that will occur during climate change and all the dry fields and dried up crops and all that. So what that will occur due to a lack of water and hot temperatures and dried up soil. So that will lead to not enough food being produced due to climate change, and that disrupts the food chain. It's a worldwide food chain of corporations rely on farmers to produce food, and farmers rely on corporations to buy and sell those crops. So that will lead to a lot of poverty and displacement among that society. And when that society is disrupted, there will be a lot of poverty and displacement. So my first question is, why is climate change often considered reversible? And my second question is, how do you address the concerns that reversing climate change could have unintended consequences or unforeseen impacts on ecosystems and societies? And as my opponents mentioned, that carbon capture is, you mentioned carbon capture, but carbon capture is theoretical. Can you prove it? And how will it affect the Earth later on? Thank you.
Including you too. And you too, you well, there are 600. And the idea is mentioned to Buddha. 600.
Today I'll be talking about the politics that prevent any beneficial action and the effects on people that climate change has. My opponent stated some solutions to climate change, and they also said that we are being pessimistic. But in fact, we are being realistic, leading me to my first argument. The politics, if not everyone doctrines these policies, nothing will happen, no change will occur. The Guardian states the world is unstable in terms of world relations. Because of the constant conflicts, greed, and alliances, it is practically impossible to have every country back one policy. And you have to remember that some people will break this policy and criminal activity will be present. These also affect the people, leading me to my next argument. Even if you can restore the earth, which you cannot according to our research, you can never restore the past. Imagine yourself waking up to an unfamiliar ceiling, in an unfamiliar home, with unfamiliar people, in an unfamiliar place. Now, you're probably thinking that you're on vacation, but you are not. Unfortunately, this is the reality that has been forced onto many people because of climate change. For example, we have Jorge, who had to flee Guatemala with his family because of the continuous droughts and floods that climate change caused. Do you know what he had to do? He would go out into the fields during the droughts, planting any seeds he had and hoping for even a little bit of rain. During the floods, he would go out in chest-deep water, trying to salvage anything he could so him and his family could eat, reported New York Times. Can you revive the dead? Can you rebuild countries? No. So why is it that climate change is considered reversible? When the damage that has been done can never be undone and the pain cannot be unfelt. I would like to end this with a question for the audience and the judges. In the state of our world politics today, and the physical and mental damage that has been inflicted to millions of people, how will humanity ever be able to reverse climate change? Now my partner will continue.
Everyone ready? Assalamu alaikum, my name is Azam, and I'll be talking about climate change and how it affects us and our ecosystem, specifically wildfires. Mohammed Al-Aqida has been studying many fires and states that climate dryness is rising 29 feet per year. With the mountains in the west of the United States where they are more used to moist lands, with temperatures rising and heat waves rising year per year makes them more liable to wildfires. Not only that, but a study done in 1984 which states that climate dryness and also predicts that 31,500 miles of land in the United States in the west will be affected by these wildfires. Wildfires can also affect us and our ecosystem. According to Daniel Swain, who is a climate scientist, states, quote, drying could kill rainforests, end quote. So you're specifically talking about the Amazon rainforest specifically. Here with the Amazon rainforest being home to millions and millions of humans and millions of animal species throughout the earth, with temperatures rising year by year, can increase us and their endangerment. One of my opponents stated that with Amazon forests or forests in general, we could regrow plants. According to a PHYS study that states that 40% of the land of rainforests that burn out will not grow back to trees, but to grassland. So how is this reversible? Also, crops can also be affecting us in our way of growth. According to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, which states that temperature change can hinder farming practices. It could be droughts, it could be flooding, it could be wildfires that affect our way of living and growing our crops. So how? How can climate change be reversible when people are suffering from food shortages? How can climate change be reversible when people are suffering from their own homes that are being burned down? You cannot change or reverse that. How is it reversible? People in many studies done in 1984, which has been predicted and states the exact same thing that's happening right now to our ecosystem. Thank you.
I'm gonna send you the Zoom link.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ayaz Saad. I am the second negative cross-examiner of the second affirmative speaker. And during this debate, I will be asking the negative side question, the affirmative side questions, as well as analyzing views. In response to the points made by the affirmative side, I have a few of my own rebuttals on why we can reverse climate change. Climate change is an pressing global issue caused by greenhouse gas emissions. To comprehend the lasting effects of these emissions, it is important to consider the long-term consequences. Yes, I agree that it will take a long time to reverse climate change. However, that does not make it reversible. In the year 2023, NASA Global Change stated that if we stopped emitting greenhouse gases today, the rise in global temperatures would flatten within years. Temperatures would then rise or remain well elevated for many centuries. So my question for the affirmative side is, in what way does the slow response of the climate system make climate change reversible? And can you provide evidence that demonstrates climate change is irreversible, and what are your sources? Thank you, and my friend will continue. Ready? Assalamu alaikum. My name is Amin Bauer, and I'll be continuing on the cross-examination on the affirmative side. So, my partner mentioned about greenhouse gases, which is an important factor in climate change, how it affects us as a whole. And it explains to us that climate change is an important factor in our whole entire world. And presuming it as dead, as my partner mentioned, is as comparing it to a human body, which has died or has no longer exists. So comparing it something to if it was dead is not as such a fallacy or such as a good example to show to people who wants to help us and who wants to help the entire world grow as a human, as a whole, correct, as a whole in a functional way, because we as humans are in nature wants to help everyone in their own best way, right? We want to at least provide with people, and we want to at least get to know and get to know what the problem is, and to provide how we can assess the problem. So my first question is it really ethical to give up on the efforts to combat climate change, and just because it may be irreversible? Thank you.
Everyone ready? Okay, assalamu alaikum everyone. And my name is Rian Sherwani. Me and Wajdan are the second negative construction speakers arguing for the reversibility of climate change. The thermometer had hit 116 degrees. We all remember that. A severe weather anomaly like that can be reversed, but only if we take action. So one of my opponents from the affirmative side told us to define and reverse, which is to turn around. And keep in mind that we're just turning around, we're not undoing the damage, because as we know that the past cannot be changed, so just turning something around and fixing it doesn't mean undoing it completely, like it never happened. So, and another, our opponent said that, and then I would like to refute that the Boundary Dam carbon capture or service in Saskatchewan, Canada, a project that can take 1 million metric tons of CO2 per year. So this method is also pretty good, as my opponent said that it wasn't pretty good. And then firstly, I would like to address the carelessness and selfishness of many people, because Andy Guterres, UN Secretary General, says that the world is not only turning to a blind eye, but also adding fuel to the flames. So the most thoughtless cause of climate change is food waste. And about 119 billion pounds of food is wasted in America every year, while 34 million people will need food. So we can reduce food waste as a whole by taking some excess food from restaurants and giving it to anyone in need. And food waste is not only critical to protecting the environment, but also critical because it furthers my 18's argument that climate change is indeed reversible. And secondly, per the United Nations, that everyone can take action on the global crisis, from the way we travel to the energy we use, the food we eat, and the way we spend our money. We can make a difference. They listed 10 actions such as saving energy at home, using environment-friendly transport, throwing away less food, as my previous argument was about, reducing, reusing, and recycling, and most importantly, speaking up about the situation, just to name a few. After hearing all that good news, do you think we should wait? My answer is no, because if we delay action, climate change, then worse and potentially irreversible consequences can occur. So we need to act now and right now, and don't hesitate to act, because everyone can make a difference. Thank you. Now I would like to turn your attention to Wajdan.
Are you ready? Okay. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Wajdan Ishdari, and I will be expanding further on my partner's point. In 2022, a researcher from the BBC News stated that overall, fashion industries are responsible for 8 to 10% of global emissions. According to the UN, more than aviation and shipping combined. Synthetic materials like polyester, for example, require over 342 million barrels of oil per year. We can avoid using these synthetic materials by switching to eco-friendly materials. For example, organic cotton, hemp, and linen are all inexpensive and recyclable materials that we can switch to. Companies are already doing so by incorporating these materials. This avoids using a lot of toxins required from the synthetic materials, and also allows us to not have to use as much oil. Not to mention, manufacturing companies already take up a lot of money, time, and energy to actually store and transport all of these products. So by switching to eco-friendly materials, we not only save the environment, but also reduce the amount of money being used in the economy. So we're using all of these eco-friendly clothing, but that doesn't mean all clothing are produced with these eco-friendly materials. Synthetic materials are still being used, so how exactly could we avoid them from being in landfills? The answer to this is by reusing and
and extending the period of time each product is being used. Companies such as Levi's, the North Face, and H&M are already doing so by taking old pieces of clothing and allowing customers to turn it in for store credit. Therefore, other customers could come and buy these used products at a discounted price. An additional major contributor to climate change is agriculture. In 2023, Humane Society International conducted a scientific consensus that shows agriculture is responsible for at least 16.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions. So what we can do to solve this issue is by changing the way that we farm. And we can do this by regenerative agriculture. This is basically reforming land as we do it. There are many methods such as cross-farming, no-till farming, and these all help to improve soil and crop production, as well as save money for the farmers. Climate change is the leading cause of global warming on our planet, and although it may be difficult to change as a whole, we are already taking it upon ourselves to find efficient solutions to these main contributors. We humans are the ones who created major causes of climate change, so we should be the ones to reverse it. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Vanessa Ansari, and I have been appointed as the second cross-examiner on behalf of the affirmative team. My opponent claims that climate change is reversible. But how is this possible when there are numerous aspects of climate change that have already been deemed as irreversible, as stated in an article by NASA's Research Center? To my opponent, do you agree that many aspects of climate change are already irreversible? And if so, how do you explain this paradox within your arguments? In what world can we call a matter with irreversible aspects reversible? Do you accept that this means climate change is an irreversible phenomenon? How do you deny the irreversibility of climate change despite the significance of all these points? My opponent stated that there are companies that are now using recycling programs to help. But But fast fashion is the predominant way of the world nowadays. It's overtaking all these recycling programs. There's no more hope for this. The damage has been done. My partner Feiruz will continue on from now.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you go see? Assalamu alaikum. My name is Feiruz Al-Akhrabi, and I'll be picking up from where my partner left off. So I'd like to talk about real quick what one of my opponents mentioned earlier, defining reverse as to turn something around, when in reality, reversing something is bringing it back to its state. Therefore, climate change can be considered irreversible. My first question links to effects wildfires caused by climate change have on more major biomes, such as the Amazon rainforest. You argue climate change is reversible without excluding the chance of reversibility on places that have already taken complete turnabout on their original state, leading me to my first couple of questions. Do you think that the complete 180 that places such as the Amazon rainforest have had over the years is to be considered reversible? And if so, do you think that greenery that has completely dried out is restorable? Along with that, do you think animals that have proven to not be able to survive in the new drier conditions could manage? My second point has to do with carbon dioxide emissions. Despite the fact human activities that create carbon dioxide, such as burning coal and the use of vehicles, are so common in today's society, you guys claim that with the reduction of carbon dioxide emissions, climate change can be reversed. Hypothetically, how long do you think a reduction of carbon dioxide emissions would last, considering how much carbon dioxide is used with everyday objects? That concludes my cross-examination. Thank you for your time.
Climate change is natural and has happened many times throughout history. Yes, that's true. The Earth has been a lot through the past 4.5 billion years. Scientists have even attributed mass extinction to atmospheric carbon from 580 million years ago, says MIT. Global warming has occurred once, meaning we can come back from it again. An example is direct air pressure, direct air capture, DAC. helps absorb CO2 using chemical filters. Many GAC plants are already being used in Europe and North America. Furthermore, Iceland's Orca plant, for example, removed 4,000 tons of CO2 in the air already. And a second technique may be through wind power. In 2019, Denmark sourced 47% of its electricity from wind. Researchers at Project Downdrop purpose if we can scale wind capacity to 26% of our global consumption. We can avoid 147 gigatons of greenhouse gas emissions. My final point is using space bubbles. Scientists at MIT believe that they can reverse climate change using space bubbles. The idea revolves around the deployment of several thin film-like silicone bubbles that would join together like a raft in the atmosphere to provide an extra buffer against harmful solar radiation that comes from the sun. Thank you. I will now pass it on to my partner.
My name is Hannah Manford. I'll be continuing my presentation today. Biodegradable plastic, a new material already being used globally. Large retailers have already been motivated by major advocacy causes to change aspects of their companies to fit eco-friendly needs. Walmart has a goal of eliminating plastic waste equivalent to 9 billion plastic bags. In 2008, Walmart committed to reduce 33% of plastic waste per store, which would eliminate 135 million pounds of plastic waste. Other companies such as Adidas made plastic waste into sustainable shoes and articles of clothing. The production, use, and disposal of plastic contributes significantly to climate change. So it's beneficial to create solutions to reuse and reduce plastic intake. Furthermore, plastics are environmentally costly to make and dispose of, and they emit greenhouse gases when they decompose. And some evidence shows that the tiny bits of damaged zooplankton, which are critters that are critical to the ocean's ability to absorb carbon. Whales also help to capture carbon dioxide, as each great whale sequesters 33 tons of carbon dioxide. Taking that carbon out of the atmosphere for centuries. By switching to eco-friendly materials instead of plastic and reusing plastic, not only are we helping our atmosphere, but also protects the animals in the ocean that play a role in eliminating CO2 gas.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Monica Kini and my partner and I are the first affirmative rebuttals. I'd first like to say my opponents have been stating many solutions to climate change and how to slow it down, but what about the aspects that are irreversible? I'd first like to go back to what my teammates have said about the Arctic ice. One of the biggest contributors to global warming that we can't reverse is the Arctic ice melting. According to a report by NASA in 2023, the summer Arctic sea ice extent is now shrinking by 12.6% per decade as a result of global warming. Now this number just further proves the drastic effects of global warming, how it's a big danger to the ecosystem of animals, endangering things that they're dependent on, such as their habitats, their food sources, and as well as increasing sea levels, which cause more floods, which cause more and more lands to be lost, and eventually more lives to be lost. Now, as my partners have mentioned, not only is the Arctic ice melting, but the permafrost is thawing as well. The permafrost, which is a thick subsurface layer of soil that remains frozen, is frozen throughout the year, primarily in the polar region, is now thawing due to global warming. The once dormant microorganisms have begun to break down organic matter, releasing carbon dioxide and methane into the atmosphere, contributing more to the toxic gas emissions we already have globally, and contributing more to climate change itself. So how can we claim that climate change is reversible when we're ignoring such big contributors that can't be reversed? And overall, global warming is irreversible in damage, in which humans are to blame, having many causes and devastating effects that we can't click a rewind button on. And as I've said, my partners have been stating many solutions on how to slow down the rate of climate change. But the ultimate question is, can climate change be reversed? My partner will now elaborate further. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Ahmed and I will be continuing what my partner has said. Actually, the harm occurs largely versus climate activities. For example, said by 2015, we will lose 1/5 of our land. 2015 may seem years away, but we are now closer to 2050 than we were to 1990. 1/5 of our land is a lot, and we're going to be losing it even if the present global climate isn't increasing nor decreasing. The temperature of the Earth is already 1 degree Celsius higher. Who knows how much it will increase by 2050? I would now like to explain further on what my teammates have said about climate refugees. According to the United Nations Refugee Agency, more than 80% of refugees come from countries endangered to climate change. One of these refugees is Shamisa Qazi, who was an 83 years old woman from Chakwara, Bangladesh. She said that climate change has destroyed everything. All I wanted was to grow old with my family, but now they are gone, and I don't think I will ever return. Overall, I have talked about climate refugees and losing land from sea levels rising. So how is climate change reversible when you cannot reverse these hardships? Thank you.
point, I am the second negative rebuttal speaker for the negative side. The fashion industry once again makes up almost 10% of the global emissions. It isn't just emissions that the industry causes, but the fashion industry also causes millions of people to work in illegal conditions for the sake of a brand. People of all ages from young children to the elders are the main workers that are compelled to work in these factories. The same factories providing fast fashion also deprive millions of people of their rights and push them to work in cruel environments with low to no pay at all. How does this sound humane to us? Is this what humanity is? Humanity should be preventing these things from happening and luckily to our advantage, we have already begun that process. Major companies such as Zara or Levi's have already allowed for consumers to choose to buy eco-friendly clothing and have also switched to eco-friendly materials and fabrics. Materials such as organic cotton, organic linen, and organic hemp, for example, burn easily to avoid waste into landfill. These solutions are efficient yet mindful. We understand it is a human nature for us to dislike something and want to throw it away. However, switching to these matters allows flexibility to get rid of recycling. By creating one solution to a problem, we can easily create many more, especially when it comes to reducing waste. Now that we have established all the solutions, yes, there is hope in climate change and we can reverse climate change. Thank you. And my partner.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Anaki and I'm the last negative speaker. And our goal is that we should be relying more on sustainability because the other team keeps on mentioning that we are saying that climate change has to be reversed, but we're saying that climate change can be reversed. Also, I would also like to mention the deforestation issue. But thankfully that now there are more trees than there were 30 years ago, which caused a 7% increase. And there are multiple national parks that have also been established. Yellowstone and Grand Canyon National Park being two examples. And countries like France, the United States, and Germany have actually lowered their carbon emissions by 20%. And around 100,000 kilograms of pollution and garbage has been removed from the ocean. And I also remember one of my opponents mentioning that there is 600 million metric tons of food waste, but actually the US EPA or United States Environmental Protection Agency actually has a new project that is going to remove this food waste, and also it's going to basically avoid the carbon dioxide inside of the environment, and it's going to basically also remove 300,000 asthma attacks and 1,300 premature deaths, and basically and also, if we do not stop climate change, if we do not stop climate change, where will we live? Where will the future generations live? Are we going to live on Mars? There's more things. Climate change is basically more than a debate. It's life or death. And instead of debating it being irreversible, we should be debating on implementing the new methods my teammates have mentioned into reversing climate change. The proof is right there on the table, and we realize that there are working solutions to reverse climate change, but it's up to us to use this proof to turn it into something bigger.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Musara, and I'm the second affirmative rebuttal. And I will be expanding our team's main arguments and points. To start off, I would like to say that even if we are to completely stop the greenhouse gas emissions, my opponent said that we can just remove carbon dioxide. But the carbon dioxide that has already been released into the atmosphere will only continue to warm the planet. That is because carbon dioxide is slow to dissipate, which will take thousands of years to be absorbed by the oceans and ultimately be buried in the sediment. For my second argument, I would like to say yes, recent evidence has been extremely concerning, and it certainly does seem like we're getting close to a location where even a small amount of dryness might kill the rainforest, and transform it to something different. But recent studies by PHYS, it shows that 40% of the rainforest is already gone and will not regrow. And by 2100, 12 million people will be subjected by extremely hot weather, and it's due to the Amazonian deforestation and the effects of climate change. Overall, changes for climate change will only cause waste and repetition. My partner will continue to expand our arguments and justify reasons for change to occur.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Tanha, and as the last speaker of the debate, I would like to begin to conclude by reiterating some of the points that our team has made. To begin with, my opponents have claimed ways to slow down climate change, but they never talk about the points of climate change that are already irreversible. My earlier teammates have stated stuff about coral reefs. Coral reefs are an important part of the marine ecosystem, and due to their importance in lifestyle, they are unable to regrow due to the biological predisposition. So if they are unable to regrow back, what do you suggest that we do for all the marine life that is now without a home or place to hide from predators? There's nothing we can do for them. Similarly, relating to the fires that we have been receiving year over year, and they are increasing in one, firepower, and two, in land area, we are losing acres of land that is important to one, agriculture, and two, to home life. Where are you going to send those people? What are you going to do? What are you going to do if they don't have the financial ability to support themselves in a new environment? What are you going to do if they're not accustomed to that way of living? You have nothing to do for these people who aren't able to move or unable to let go of the things that they are already accustomed to. The last thing I would like to mention is the toxic waste. My teammate says that, or my opponent states that we can lower our food consumption, but we can't do that because it is strictly forbidden within many types of laws in the food community. You're unable to throw away or unable to give away food that is produced by companies. To conclude this debate, I would like to ask you all a question. Do you believe in false hope or the reality they are facing and are refusing to